going to try and do some talking on this one. I'm in no way an expert or expecting to be teaching anyone. I am just going to talk through what I'm thinking and doing. Most of the things that I think and do are a product of things that I've read. I'm not a content creator, an expert, a maths person by any stretch of the imagination, but I use a combination of different things that I've read from various different sources. Alton Harden was great, getting me from the micro stakes, teaching me to study with Sky Matsuhashi. I've also used Red Chip Poker's core and a few of their main membership videos as well when I was a member for about 3 months, as I got a good deal on it. But I haven't signed up to that for long term, but it was very good. But a combination of different things like that. A couple of things that I've been asked about from my first one. One was the multi-table feature, which has these overlays on as well, SPR, and occasionally it will pop up with pot odds as well. It's automatic using this thing called Eurogin, which is free to use, and it is legitimate. Any features that are not permitted automatically are not usable on Eurogin. So for example, those bet buttons you just saw here, if I was to play on GG, they don't appear because GG don't allow those. So different features of it don't work on different sites. It works on these sites, and some features will work on some of them, some will work on all of them. Some features don't work on some of them because it goes against that site's terms of service. So it is free. It is very usable, very legitimate. The HUD that I'm using here, again, I purchased this from Sky Matsuhashi. I do use it. I love it. I recommend it. I'm certainly not an affiliate of any kind, but if you like the look of it, go and buy it from Sky Matsuhashi. It also comes with the HUD itself, the tournament version as well, which is equally as good in my opinion. And it also comes with a huge webinar teaching you how to use it, and with a few quizzes and things in there as well, to make sure that you're sort of digesting that learning content as well. So that's the HUD and the multi-table software. I'm still looking for a fourth table, but I'm trying to choose wisely. There's one available at the right stake, but it's got someone who I have history with on there who's a very active 3-better, and if I take that seat they will be sitting in position on me, and I don't want them to be 3-betting me all the time, so I'm trying to avoid that one. Wouldn't mind so much if they were on my right. I don't want them on my left. If they're there at all, I'd rather they were directly opposite me. Well, that timer feature that you can see there is also part of Eurogin. Solo Broadway. It's always worth a bluff c-bet in my opinion. Now, as I said before, I am not in any way claiming to be an expert. I am just talking through what I think. Do please feel free to disagree with me. and discuss or teach me in the comments sections of wherever this ends up being viewed. I think it's good to be collaborative. People who are probably watching smaller stakes like this in the same places, so let's be honest, none of us are probably experts. Again, solo ace, but this time I have it, so put in a same sort of ace bet for value, and when it's a bluff, only got the one pair. Ace fours and ace fives are the sort of thing people may call with, as are the type of thing that may well have middle straight draws on there, suited connectors. I'm going to pot control, but we are going to start with the hand, and I'm going to then see if I can squeeze out a little bit, because I think if he had any of those things I have just mentioned, he would have bet that. Excellent. Again, same again, for the same reason, but for that reason there, with the weak kicker, if he's calling, we are going to shut down and see if we can check to the showdown, which we'll probably lose, let's be honest. If he doesn't have a better ace, calling hands here probably have two broadways, which you know obviously getting close to straights at that point. So yeah, if there is anything to be taken from this, it isn't me teaching, it is to, I think, use the stream and the video as a way of opening up discussion. I will be all ears as well to anyone who wishes to discuss and teach or ask why I'm doing things, and then disagree with the reply is perfectly valid, I think. Not a big hand sample, but I think he has quite a tight range. I would normally probably fold to that, but with the extra call, that might be worth just the odds of hitting something. I have hit something, it's not great. I'm going to check it to the razor with a view to calling once and seeing what comes up. Now that's not, there's no way that's big enough to comment on. That's you know, that could well be over betting as a bluff, but equally could well be over betting with a much better hand than second pair weak kicker. That's partly why I started recording and streaming as well. My old habits would have been just to call it and see what happens, spew off a load of chips. But the idea that people are watching keeps me focused on playing how I know I can play when I'm my best, if that makes sense. You know, none of us want to look silly, and I think sometimes you forget and you make yourself look silly in private, if that makes sense. By just out of interest, I'll see what it is, or I'll hope for the best. I'll call in hope. This small opening range went in first couple of seats on this 6-hand table is exactly for that reason. I don't mind folding that. We can open a wider range we can open a wider range from any position if you make your bet size smaller, but 2.2 seems to do the trick mostly, and when it doesn't, you don't mind folding it. yellow, I've got them as a tag. Red, I've got them as a nit. This sort of, don't know if you want to call it turquoise, sky blue colour is a tag fish. That sometimes happens. The right click button on PokerStars doesn't work when you're using Jewelry. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes does. I don't know what sort of glitch it is, but if it wasn't doing that, you could see my colour scheme. But yeah, tag fish. So usually someone who calls a bit too much, has a reasonably tight opening range, but calls a little bit too much, or perhaps they have similar pre-flop stats to a tag, but they're really passive after the flop, which is these ones here. Then they go down to tag fish. So he's a bit too loose with his calling compared to his opening. That's why he's tag fish. I do keep a constant eye on these because I mark them quite early, so I mark them after about 20 hands. I can't mark them at the moment because of the glitch that's happened on Jewelry, but he would be, at the moment, after only 32 hands, he would be getting tag fish as well. After 20 hands, that's my lower limit for doing this. He is tag fish, maybe heading towards lag as that's creeping up. I'm going to call to try and set mine. He should not be in it. That would be laggy. It is only 20 hands, but at the moment that would be laggy. I would be reassessing again. I'm going to actually, am I going to call that? I'm going to call in the hope that he wants to check it down, and well, he might have hit that queen. Right, so I'm going to fold it. I shouldn't have called the flop either, to be fair. Every card that could have came was bad, wasn't it, apart from the 4. And arguably the 2 and the 3, but certainly not enough to call. I shouldn't have called that. I genuinely don't think he would have hit anything on that flop though. But then I'm not, I wasn't thinking about what is the turn going to be. He could bet anything that came there, and I would have had to fold. Never did find that 4th table. I started playing, didn't I? Well, that one's all right. Got a couple of weaker calling type players. I do quite like a connected ace, suited ace, wheel draw type ace. Yeah, the first stream, I wasn't expecting anyone to watch it, and then it got watched 8 times or something in a sort of 2 days. So I thought I'll give it a go. See what people think, see if anyone finds them useful for any reason. I mean, as I say useful, as I say, I'm not going to be teaching anyone. I don't think I am good enough or knowledgeable enough, and everything that I sort of do feel like I know is second-hand knowledge. I could possibly also record some study sessions. That might make me study more often, let's be honest. Just hand reviews and things using my own databases. I wouldn't obviously be using anybody else's content that I've paid for to study from on a session, but I could, do some hand reviews. That's good. I'm going to bet low. Or do I need to bet? No, he does fold quite often. So if I want him to call, I'm going to bet low. The old 33% 1. He doesn't call. If he doesn't call, he's not going to call anything, is he? So it doesn't matter. Would anybody just check there and hope that villain hits something on the turn? You know, hits a pair on the turn or something? I don't know. Again, maybe a discussion point, see what works for other people. Now this time I 3-bet, so I don't think he's expecting me to have hit because he's thinking in terms of big cards. So I'm checking to him. Now I'm hoping he's hit something. I'm going to bet it. He might have diamond draw, he might have a heart draw, he might have hit that queen. Certainly ace queen, king queen suited is the type of hand that he would have called a 3-bet with, but not 4-bet. On the button with only a 2.5 sizing, I think any 2 broadways are okay. Again, feel free to disagree. This is getting a bit short, shall I stay? Oh, that's a fold. But again, it's a pretty easy fold when you've only invested 2.5. This is now a sit out next big blind, and let's just get this round back, hopefully. Suited gapper on the button. Easy fold. That's orange's lag, by the way. Did I mention orange's lag? I think I did. If you ever see a dark blue, it sort of means that they're a bit of a shove monkey. They're just putting the chips in. Usually with the short stackers who just go all in a lot, or if they are the sort of person who clearly tilts and spews and starts going all in pre-flop every hand. Hyper aggressive but bad players, you know, like maniac type, they go dark blue. Yellow tag, turquoise tag fish, red knit, pinky sort of colour, called ag fish. Which is making me now query if he is an ag fish or not. That's only once. He's probably an ag, but the old right click function is not working. As I say, it's a occasional glitch when using Duogin. It seems to interfere with PokerStars' right click function. I'll mark them on here for later. I think I've marked them now. Mark them again. Slightly higher than normal. 3-bet from out of position. Find I either want to make to charge them for playing against me in the better position. If they want to do that, they're going to need to pay the premium in order to have that extra position. And also it, sometimes just increases their likelihood they'll fold, which often is what you're looking for. That's why it's built into those bet buttons there. Cut off, I think that's fine. 6 and 7 is there. I think I've got a bet that haven't I, but I actually will bet low. Try and encourage a call. Never mind. Again, they've either got something or they haven't at that point. Yeah, the 6s and 7s there, raising over limpers. I know often people say, "Oh, just add one for each limper." I go for 6 over any limper, and 7 if I'm out of position over just over one limper. What you find often is it means that the other people indeed fold, so you do isolate the limper. But limpers nowadays, not many people limp. Certainly not where I play PokerStars. You don't get many people who are limping. The people who are limping are genuinely limping because they don't know what they're doing. But there's not that many of them anymore. So when there is one, they genuinely don't know what they're doing. So you'll find that they will call, whether it's for 3 or 3.5 because you've done 2.5 plus 1 or 3 plus 1 for the limper. If you do that, you can do 6 and they'll still call. It is to isolate the limper, but it's also to punish the limper and get max value out of them. And if they fold, then you've got, blind and a half plus the limp for nothing, no risk. Makes sense to me. Anyway, as I've said, query, argue, discuss, whatever you want to call it. I tend to play quite short poker sessions myself. I'm not a professional poker player, obviously. I'm very much a recreational player who takes it a little bit seriously and studies a little bit. Plays short but regular sessions. And I've actually always thought it would be good to have some sort of a blog, video series, something like that, which is following someone who isn't professional, has a family, is a parent, has a job, has to go and mow the lawn, has to keep on top of the chores, all that stuff that gets in the way. And what do they do? How do they manage? And I'm not putting myself forward as a person to do it for the very same reason that I think it will be interesting. I don't have the time, but it will be good to sort of write a blog / diary / make video series about the ups and downs of that whole routine, not just the poker. I think it will be really good. And someone who maybe has a bit more time but is still in that situation perhaps should give that a go. And maybe one day when I've got a little bit more time I will. But at the moment it isn't for me. This is as far as I'm going to go. It's a cracking idea though. I think if I hit something on there, I think it would be very silly of me not to just go for max. Get a call. He's already hit the 6, so actually I am drawing. I need another 6. I've hit one of them, so I will go split it at least. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Go through is 80 cents. Never mind. could have quite easily done that with 2 pair. Or an over pair, even some people would. Some people certainly would. He's not much of a folder on flops. 13 flops. He's folded to a C-bet 5 times. He raises quite the flop C-bets quite frequently as well, so there you go. He could have been doing that with 2 pair easily. Now, I admit I should have done that check before, not after. I am, what's the phrase, an afternoon speaker. But yeah, I need to get in the habit of using this before, don't I, rather than after. I'm halfway there because I'm in the habit of using it when looking off the felt, doing the hand reviews and things, and using the hood in the review. And then because of time-wise pressure, chatting on here, whatever else, I sometimes get in the habit of looking afterwards when I feel like I've got more time. I'm not very good at doing it quickly. That's another thing I need to work on. How often do you use your hood properly in game? There's probably quite a lot of us who don't use it that much. You can see what your front stats are, but your pop-ups and things are absolutely insightful when used properly. I often find when I'm doing hand reviews that the information was there for me to make the right calls, and I may have made the wrong call, but I know for certain that live I didn't even look at the pop-up. Never mind, I didn't look at it and not understand it, or look at it and make the wrong choice. I know for certain I didn't look at it. So again, solo Broadway, worth a stab. When I have raised from the early position, they're going to possibly give me credit for a hand. If the call, though, they have something and I don't. It's now a definite check, just in case. We've got some very vague showdown value, but we certainly can only get called by opponents if we bet. So it's a check, and it's a check fold. Unfortunately, it's a check fold if they bet, which they do. They either had a bigger pocket pair or they'd had something with the jack in there. Can we get some action with our kings, please? Excellent. Excellent. Now what's great here is it really looks like a squeeze play. Excellent. Hopefully he hasn't got aces. He's got tens. That's good. Never cash out. It's a mugs game. We take that down. Perfect. That puts us on 57.68 profit. Not that we should be checking our profit mid-game. Again, I always do, but I know I shouldn't. Now, I'm going to put in a low one in the hope they fit something, and then I'm going to put in the high one in the hope they continue to hit something, but do I want? No, I'm going to pot control it. and hope no broadways come, because it's quite clear they could have a straight here. That's pathetic. So I have to call that at least. By not raising, I could be leaving some value in the tank here. Also, that's two pair territory for calling hands, isn't it? But there's no way you're folding, and that's fine. And that could have been better, I think. I think I left some value in the tank on that one, to be honest. Again, what in the moment, not with the benefit of hindsight, what would you have done? Comment, let me know, discuss. Did my reasoning make sense? I don't know. Doing all right. We're now on plus 69.91. Got that open on a different screen. I know I shouldn't. Mainly the other screen is operating so that I can see my OBS. Weirdly, on OBS I can see my whole screen. You might notice I've got no tables in this bit. That's because that bit of my monitor is full of dead pixels, so I can't see that on my monitor, whereas you can. I can't actually see that clock, unless I look on the OBS, then I can see the whole screen, because OBS is recording what it thinks is my whole screen. It doesn't know my screen is broken. So yeah, I thought I'd leave the clock there, and it doesn't get in the way of any of my tables, but also I can see it if I want to by looking on the OBS thing. Oh dear me. 2, 1. We'll just put 2 in. Weirdly, one of the things that I really like about Eurogin, even though it doesn't sound like it makes any difference, and if you haven't used it before, you'll think what possible difference can that make? But you don't click on, so I just move my mouse over and it automatically opens up that table. And I don't know why that makes a big difference in the feeling of it. It feels a lot smoother and a lot nicer. I'm not always clicking my finger. I don't know if it's constantly clicking makes you get in the habit of clicking, or whereas I feel like I'm more observing. That couldn't have gone any better. Oh, I suppose it could. It could not be a diamond, couldn't it? But I think we under the gun. I think fours is just get rid of fours, don't you? It's the gun. Yeah, it's 3 when I'm in the small blind, because I know I'm going to be out of position. So I go between my 2.5 and my. I have a good shot and a backdoor flush draw and 1 over. So even though I really don't seem to have much, it is worth a little C bet. Now got an open ender, but he called, so he's got something. I think that calling hands have various different straight draws and flush draws in here. No one's hit anything yet. We might just check this one down. There we go. If he wants to be silly at the end there, he can. It's quite clear neither of us had anything. Yeah, I don't know about why, but not having to click on the tables makes it feel smoother and less panicky. It's also the fact that you can multi-site. You can only play 4 tables on PokerStars, but I could have another 4 tables open from GG or from Grosvenor Poker, which is one of the iPoker network skins, and it would just all work together in the same way. You can change your layouts. Remember, this is free software, so I'm not advertising anything, and I'm not clever enough to make it either, so it's not mine, but it's free, which is so yeah, it's got lots of features and some things that I don't use that are more complicated than things that I've used. But yeah, you can change your layouts. So on that one, for example, it's got 6 tables across both my screens. If I was to change to that one, it's just got 4 tables, but it's 4 tables on the other screen, because sometimes I'm just playing on my laptop, not my desktop, where I've got the 2 lined up. If I was to have that one, it's got 6 tables squeezed onto one screen. That one's got 4 tables across the 2 monitors. That one, I know I shouldn't. The reason says 3 plus ranges. It's got 3 tables down the side there, and I can see something else I've got open over there. So I've got my ranges open on a PDF, open on the screen at the same time, which I don't think is a big issue, because you can print the ranges if if it's only a PDF file that's open. Fold it. But I mean, again, is that wrong? I don't think it is. So yeah, you can clearly see it does lots of things. Hotkeys, I don't use those. I just use the mouse. There you go. It does lots of things. You can change these to whatever you want them to, and then they appear as an overlay. On some sites they don't appear on GG. Against their terms of service, this is sort of what things you can make it look like. You can see I've got pot odds and stack to pot ratio. There's other things you can have as well. It does a huge amount of things probably that I don't use, so I'm not exactly advertising. It's like people who play computer games, would they benefit from that? I don't know, because I'm not a gamer. The last games console I owned was a SNES. But yeah, some people might like that. Huge amount of things that it does. And it's free. Download it if you like it. Feels like things have gone a bit quiet. I'm going to do an hour. That's a fold. That is a standard 3 from the small blind. We're only going to win this if we bet, so I think I'm going to do 1 then done. Meaning if he calls, I'm done with the hand. He doesn't call, that's good, that's what I wanted. To be honest, don't want calls there. But there was no way we're going to win if we checked it. It's never winning a showdown on any card is bad. 2.5 from the cutoff. That from the cutoff. If it was suited, definitely. I don't know. That probably should be in my range. I think it probably is in my range if I check my ranges. Try and get in the habit of playing without them and check afterwards. Helps the memory. So he's only folded to a quarter of 3 bet. 40% of them now. It's just been a pure steal attempt he was on there, I think. This is going to be a steal attempt if it's folded to me. It's going to be a fold if either of these two put in a raise. A bet, I should say. No one does, so it's 2.5. Steal attempt. That's a, I don't know what you want to call it, a semi-steal. It could hit something good, but it's mainly a steal, isn't it, really? Open-ended straight door, backdoor flush draw. Chances are they've put in a low one. So they've called it. I've now got a pair plus a draw. They could have the flush draw, they could have a straight, they could have something with a 9. They could have obviously the ace. I've now got trips though. So I'm going to hope that he has hit the ace and he thinks I've missed my club draw or missed my straight draw, and raise that up. And that's exactly what happened. Brilliant. That might be the best piece of rationale you'll hear from me all day, all week. Now on plus 78.94 for the session. Playing at 50 NL. Played 266 hands. So win rate for this session is 59.35 big blinds per 100. It's a steal attempt, but from the small blind I always steal attempt with any ace if it's folded to me. In position I'm going to call. I very rarely make any calls pre-flop, but I think pocket pairs are worth a call and some other occasions are worth a call. Obviously it helps so that people don't always know you've got a pocket pair when you call, but also if you're on the button and cut off, I think you can call with sometimes suited connectors or high cards, certain high cards, Broadway type hands. I mean obviously not just any suited Broadways and not against any player, but certainly suited king queens and stuff like that. But I have a mainly 3-bet or fold strategy pre-flop. But then I want to be able to call with my pocket pairs, so I have to put just a couple of other calls in. I mean they're all fairly low numbers. You can see here the hands I've got against people, but for a few players I've got 2,000 hands against them, on them, and if they've got that, if I've got that on them, they've got that on me, haven't they? So 10%. So he does have bet bluffs in his range, but that's not a hand to call with. Good stuff. that I make it higher. As I said earlier, I often would. You know, argument for keeping it consistent no matter what you're doing. Argument for going, actually I want him to call. Well, there you go. Which side of that argument do you fall on? There is an argument that even at 50 NL people are still not watching. People are still not taking it anywhere near enough notice. That's a set mine. Only. Set or fold here. Yeah, my pre-flop calling statistic. Right now, I'm still going to set mine just now because I'm putting in an extra 7.8 big blinds. But if it hits, it's a big pot, and now it's definitely a fold. But I think I think the implied odds are there when you've got two of these going at it, and you hit a sneaky set. Ooh. Now the problem is one of them probably has a set or a straight. I still think now I'm actually just checking it to try and get a showdown, but I probably will call if someone's betting. Set mine that. He's only betting half the pot. Oh dear. Now straight galore. I should fold this. Folding trips is hard though. But because you're watching, I'm going to fold if he bets. And I wouldn't normally. I'll be honest, I would normally just spew when he bets here. No, he has a straight or a set, doesn't he? Doesn't he? I would normally have called that if there was nobody watching. Even though I know I'm probably wrong to call. So the fact that someone might see it, even though probably nobody will. Nobody's going to get this far. Somebody might see it, has made me make the right choice. Yes, anyway, as I was saying, my stat for calling a pre-flop 2-bet is 7% out of 74,300 hands. So I have not been calling pre-flop 2-bets for a very long time. Well, I say very long. Depends how long you've been playing, how big your database is. For me, that's quite a long time. See, that's the sort of thing. Just to not always have a pocket pairs when you call, I'm going to make that call with suited king 10 and I'm on the button. I've got myself a gut shot, but clearly at least one of them's got a club, haven't they? They haven't necessarily got two clubs, but they've certainly got a club, which means they want a flush draw. And are more likely to hit their flush draw than I am my straight draw. So this is the most passive hand in the world, but if it checks to me, I think I'm probably still just checking, aren't I? I'm folding now. has some bluffs in his range. Ace king offsuit's not 4-bet. I'm going to see a flop. He hasn't hit that. Nor have I. Would he buy that I call? I didn't raise. Well, would he buy calling with maybe a, like an ace 4, ace 5 type hand, or an ace 2, ace 3 if it was suited? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. He's called, so he likes something about his hand. Maybe he just doesn't like being bluffed off hands. I'm going to bluff at it to avoid checking and seeing, pocket nines, pocket sixes, that sort of thing, which I can fold out if I bet. I think that's what he's calling it. He's thinking about now. He's sitting there gutted that his low pocket pair that didn't flop a set has just been outdrawn by someone who calls with ace king, ace queen. Because that's what I did, I called pre-flop, didn't raise. Those are the type of things you raise with. You call with, sorry. There we go. I think I could have been right there. I think he was on the same hand as me, but maybe suited or off suited. We had either ace king, suited or off suited, or we had a pocket pair that did not make a set. There was certainly nothing to be gained in checking. Again, I'm not sure about that. If you want to disagree, tell me what you would have done. Was I setting myself up for failure most of the time? I know it worked on that occasion, but just because something works doesn't mean it's always the best thing to do. Was I wrong to do that, do you think? I also often go by the principle, if they check twice, then they don't have anything. I can't remember if he did check twice or not. No, he didn't. I can't remember. That is what we want. We don't want to see ace queen, but certainly he's going to have pairs or two pairs there, or he's going to be folding his other pair and his suited connectors. I still think he's got either two pair or now if he has a queen I'm done for, but never mind. We could still outdraw the queen. There's another king in there, there's a 10, a jack and an ace in there to make us a full house. Okay, so I've done an hour. As you can see, that's from Durojin. You have been playing more than 1 hour. Don't like the plural on 1 hours, but never mind. Always play until you're big blind. We are $78.16 up for this session. a bad hourly rate. We are 44.42 big blinds per 100. On the win rate, we've paid $10 in rake. Obviously the total winnings is after rake. That's a fold. Obviously you can see on my HUD what my stats have been in each table. A quick look to pull those together and average them out. I have played a 17.25 VPIP and a 15.20 PFR this session. Raise first in of those has been 19 or 18.99. 3-bet pre-flop's been 12.59, so quite high. C-bet and the flop at 65%. C-bet and the turn at 16. Shouldn't be that much of a gap, I don't think, otherwise you can probably, people will know that you're a one and done type player. Which I don't think I am, but I'm trying not to be hyper aggressive, as that used to be a big league of mine. Getting a good hand in for the end of a session here. That should be ticked. Take that next big blind. I thought I ticked that a while ago. Fold to pre-flop 3-bet's been 92%. Calling 3-bet isn't good, is it? So I'm happy to fold that. That's higher than I often do, though. I think, but to be honest, I have been trying to make it myself fold to more for 3-bets. Been folding to turn bets at 100% of the time, as I haven't seen many of those. In fact, I've only seen 2. Folding to river bets at 42%. Calling river and winning the showdown has been 100%. Went to showdown has been 28. Winning the showdown has been 77.78. Out of the past 359 hands. That's this session, basically the session that you've watched. If you've watched this far, I'm pretty sure I'm talking to myself by this point. I don't think anyone's got this far. I don't even know if it's working, but you know, hopefully it is. I've just clicked stream on OBS. Other than that, I don't know. Okay, thank you very much. I'm out. Enjoy, comment, argue, talk, discuss. As I've said, I'm in no way a teacher of poker. I don't see myself as being knowledgeable enough. Everything that I feel I do know is second-hand knowledge. So use these as discussion points, talking points, whatever. You learn through discussion, teach each other. Don't see me as in any way claiming to be teaching. Thank you.